Okay, today we've got Nate Bundy's 2012 on the dyno. This is a truck that came back. He had a 68 RFE last time it was here, and we did 997 horsepower. After the truck gets off the dyno, we're going to put it in the shop and put a D&J Stage 3 head on it and put it right back on the dyno so we can get a back-to-back comparison going from a stock head on a 2012 to a D&J Stage 3. We've had a couple of comparisons like this before, but not same environment. Like we had that 2012 earlier that he took it, and it was the dynos were a couple months apart. So this is going to be good to do it all in one shot and see what kind of difference a head can make. The setup on the truck is it's got flux diesel injectors, like 250% overs. This is their hybrid injector. It's got TC diesel 10 mil dual stroker pumps. It has a TNC rail. It has a stainless 5-blade 472-8710 T4 on the manifold over a 485. It's their knuckle sandwich twin turbo setup, and a 48 RE swap with a bunch of go-run parts in it. A fast 250. The bottom end has rods and a girdle and a 188 220 cam. Still has a stock block, stock pistons. But overall, we're excited to see what this truck is going to make with the stock head, because it's got a pretty aggressive setup on it. I mean, he's got fuel and air for 1,300 horsepower. So we're going to dyno it with the stock head, and then pull off the dyno, swap a head, and see what we make tomorrow. Okay, we've got max effort dialed in on this truck. We ended up with a 1,280 horsepower on peak power, which is a really, really good number. So I'm excited to get the stock head off this truck and put a Stage 3 head on it and see what kind of power numbers it will actually make when we have a good flowing head. The next comparison I want to do is I want to check to see what exhaust gas temperatures are on tune 1. So I'm going to turn this thing down to tune 1, and I'm going to do a long, slow pull to see what EGTs settle out at, so that we can do a comparison between a stock head and then a Stage 3 head on exhaust gas temperature, basically simulating towing a heavy trailer up a hill. Okay, tune 1 made a peak power of 725 horsepower. And that was about a 10-second pull at wide open throttle, and we saw a peak of 1,275 degrees. Most of the pull it was around 1150, and then the higher RPMs it was climbing up to 1,275. So that's going to give us a good baseline to compare to when we have the Stage 3 head on the truck. So we're going to get this thing off the dyno now and start getting the head swapped, and we're going to put it back on the dyno tomorrow.
so excited?
1443.
1443. And it did what on the old head?
1285.
1285. That's impressive.
Okay, this is the end of a long couple days, and we did the stage 3 swap, and we finished it and got it back on the dyno, and we got some really good numbers. So we've got a 4th gen. I think this is the highest horsepower 4th gen, and it's a 2012. We finished the day at 1,442 horsepower and 1,970 foot-pounds of torque, which is a big number.
A number I never thought I'd see.
Yeah, it's making him a couple inches taller.
Yep.
But overall,
How if we could just get a little slimmer?
That's the hard part. So we did that at 68 psi boost. So we lost 2 psi boost over the stock head, and we made 158 horsepower more on a max effort tune. These are Don M F1 injectors.
Flux diesel hybrids, yep.
This is a hybrid injector, and they did a really good job on them. These are something new, right?
Yep. I think these are maybe the first set that's ever been actually dyno tuned, but so far they're very, very good, clean injectors, cleaner than what we thought what they were last go around. But
I mean, at 1130 horsepower,
yep.
Exhaust is still very clean. Well, by the time we got to 1400 horsepower, we're pretty much at the end of what these turbos are doing, and there's definitely some over fuel there. But when you're pushing a 472, 485 knuckle sandwich setup,
Yep.
That's to be expected. I mean, you're kind of pushing it past what it's really designed to do. And I think you were wanting to make 1,250 horsepower for what you
I
want.
was hoping the first day was the day today, and it just got way over surpassed. I thought if we could have, when the head was done, make 1,250,
right.
I was going to be happy. But I guess we way overshot that.
Right.
And thanks to Don and Flux Diesel and TNC there, both Todd's 10 mil pumps, and it was all fuel from last year in the 997 that we made. The only change we made coming back this year was the 2 pumps and injectors.
Yeah.
So that was the only thing we did there, and went from 997 to 1285, and then now the head changed.
Did you build the motor in that, or did it have the built motor?
The motor was built right before we come last year.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So it had the built motor last year. So
Nothing changed other than the fuel.
system. Yep.
Yep.
So there are a lot of different things that play a part. That's why I keep preaching this. It takes the whole recipe, because you can have a good engine, good turbos, but if the injectors aren't right, it won't make the power. Same thing, good injectors and a bad turbo setup, it won't make the power. It takes the whole recipe to do right. The other comparison that we did was on Tune 1, where we turned the fuel way back to 725 horsepower. And that was when we did a long 10-second pull, really hard load. You could see the EGT gauge stop around 1100, then it crept up to about 1300 degrees once it got to 3500 RPM. And with the stage 3 head, we picked up 23 horsepower, went from 725 to 748 horsepower with the just flowing more air through the head, same exact fuel quantity and everything. A big head can still be beneficial even at lower power numbers. It's just not near as big of a jump until you're really starting getting up there in power.
It definitely shows it when you get up here. When I talked to Drew about buying the head, he said go big, go big, go big, and he said as much as you can afford. So I guess as you creep up there, it shows the difference in the horsepower level. And one thing I will say about Drew is first time dealt with the man. We came here and basically tuned it stock, truck cooled down. They started going to work on tearing it down for the head. We went over to Drew's and to pick the head up. We got a full tour. Drew spent an hour and a half with us on in conversation on their parts they build and stuff. There was pretty good hospitality that we felt over there with Drew. And the other thing I learned that the what would you call the control, or the quality control over there is a step up from what I thought. I'll put it to you that way. What I thought I was going to get, because my head that I purchased was sitting there on the cart, and it got checked off by 3 different employees there before it shipped out. And that was pretty impressive. I didn't know, but he said that happens at every piece of that goes out the door. So I was impressed with that. Big shout out to Drew, and I guess this shows what.
The D&J guys have come a long way. I mean, we've been with D&J buying parts from them since TPC 2015, and I just know the struggles that Drew has gone through over the years with having problems with this or that, and he's really stepped up over the years. Quality control is amazing. The heads show up, they literally look brand new, they're clean, they're sandblasted, they're painted. It is a very nice piece. They cost a lot of money, but when you're spending that kind of money and you pick up 158 horsepower on just the head flow, that's what money well spent, because your boost is lower. It's a happy engine.
Yep.
So overall, we're happy to do this comparison finally. Drew's been wanting a long time for us to do a stock head, pull it off, and do it all in the same time frame. We finally got a chance to do a direct back-to-back.
Yep.
So we are ready to pull this thing off the dyno and send you on your way. Okay, Nate Bundy goes number 5. Lots of torque. That goes for a small turbo setup. That makes a lot of power down low. And that is why his block is at higher risk. But like Nate said, it only needed to do it once. So he'll turn it back down to 1250 horsepower. And just know that if he ever goes to a dyno session, he has something that he can turn it up if he ever really needs to. Number 5.